Hi, and welcome to the Adventures of Uber Dad. This is Michael again. I'm going to take a little outlier here. It's going to go back to the issue of payment, but in the time since I've recorded my last batch of videos, Uber has been trying some different strategies to go ahead and get drivers out there that can help you enhance your pay. So we had talked in one of the previous podcasts about other means and incentives that Uber will offer you to make money. One of those obviously is the referral fee. So if you sign up for Uber and you complete a certain number of drives, I get a cash payment, you get a cash payment, and that fluctuates on a weekly basis depending on how much they want to get people to drive. One thing I've noticed of late is that in LA at least, there is a lot of competition from Lyft. Uber seemed to take the lead at a certain point and dominate the industry, but Lyft has been coming back strong, kind of rebranding themselves. And a lot of other Uber drivers that I pick up have been asking if I drive for Lyft and trying to get me to sign up for that service. That's fine. I think as long as you're not doing damage to the Uber brand or something that would be illegal or disqualify yourself as a Lyft or Uber driver, it's perfectly fine to go ahead and work for both services. The people that I've talked to seem to do it quite well, and they seem to base their timing on it based on whatever incentives are out for the week. Now, Lyft, in order to recover some of the market, was offering some pretty heavy incentives that if you were to get someone to sign up, you could get it as high as $500 additional payment for the week. And some of that appears to be working where it's pulling Uber drivers away to work for Lyft during busy times, which means that surge pricing goes up and Uber becomes more expensive and they begin to lose their business. So what Uber has done in response is offer their own incentives where they'll ask people who drive for Lyft or other ride-sharing services to go ahead and show up and tell them about it, and they can get a $100 cash payment for doing that and then driving 40 drives that week. What they've done of late is they've started to have some very large incentives if you can complete a certain number of drives over the course of a week. 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, if you can complete 50 drives that week driving for Uber between Monday and Sunday, this was during the week of St. Patrick's Day, so it was an incentive for them to get people out on the road, they would offer you an additional $500 in addition to all the other incentives that they offer. The following week, they changed it to 75 rides, but if you did 50 rides, they offered, I believe it was $300. This week, I noticed that they were offering an incentive that if you did as many as 30, you could earn $100. If you did 40, you could get $200, $50, $300, and so on. So being in touch with Uber, and that's not a hard thing to do because they'll text you all the time and notify you of all the incentives that they have, can be a very good thing and can be a way to supplement your riding. If you're riding full time, that's something that's just going to come naturally too, and you're really just going to have to decide strategically when to drive to be able to get yourself the most drives as possible. What can be frustrating is that you go out there and you get a lot of very long rides, which can be profitable, but the risk is that you don't get enough to be able to hit the incentives for the week. I'm sure that it balances out in its own way, but one of the drawbacks of them offering these kind of incentives is that you can go out on what would normally be a busy night and there will be virtually no surge pricing at all. So during St. Patty's Day, I happened to be out driving, and what you would think would be an extraordinarily busy night with surge pricing everywhere ended up being one of the flattest nights I've ever seen, where the highest surge price I saw was 1.2 times the normal rate. And it also made it very difficult to get rides. So sometimes you would drive for quite some long period of time. And if you were trying to go ahead and hit a count number like 50 for the week or 75, it might have been impossible just because of the number of riders that they had out on the road. So that is something to consider when they offer these incentives, that everybody else is doing the same thing. And it may make it more difficult to get the same number of rides that you would have gotten the week before. That means that you can still, and likewise, I'm sure the same is true vice versa for Lyft. But it is a clever strategy to make additional money, and it is something to be aware of. And it is something to look into. If you check on the Uber site, they'll post their incentives for that week. And sometimes it even comes down to the day in a particular area. For us down there was something called City Lights, I think it was, down in Long Beach. And so they were offering an additional incentive hourly if you could complete 2 rides every hour between the hours of 4 p.m. and midnight down in this one part of Long Beach. They would essentially guarantee that you made $25 per hour. And they've started doing that in Los Angeles proper over the last couple of months, where it's $25 an hour between rush hours on certain days and certain evenings. And some nights they've even jacked that up to as high as $30 per hour. So these are all things you have to take in consideration when you drive for Uber. If you're part-time like me, you don't always have the flexibility that you need to be able to drive on the nights that would be best to be able to hit these incentives. And I still find that if I drive as much as I can in the time I have available, I usually get to chip off some of these incentives, and that helps with your pay overall, in that at least you're getting the bump payment per hour as long as you're hitting the qualification of the drives. So that was one little segue back into money. My apologies, because I know we were talking about driving strategies. I'm going to get back to driving strategies in part 12 next, just regarding a couple other things that I want to finish up. If you have any questions about this or any other issues, feel free to go ahead and write me at uberdad.la@gmail.com, or leave comments in this video or below one of the others, and I'll do my best to reply to them. Likewise, since we're on the issue of money, if you want to go ahead and make some additional money in signing up to drive for Uber, please use my referral code, which is referred to on my playlist page, or you can enter it directly. It is R7F5BJXYUE. And that just results in a cash payment for me once you've completed a certain number of rides and signed up, as well as a cash payment for you once you've done the same thing. So all the best, and I will see you on part 12. Take care.